What up, everybody, for another edition of Fast and Tierious, where we explore the journeys of HubSpot Solutions Partners that have been winning or won. Today, I'm joined with Jeremy DuPont from Patch, co-founder and CEO. Claim to fame is they are so niche, and you'll learn a little why that matters here in a bit, but they are platinum, very, very niche, and looking to expand very quickly. Jeremy, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm stoked to be here.
I've been waiting for this conversation for a while, so I'm excited too. Okay, man. So you have a very unique journey. People talk about niching. Your journey has allowed that in a way that others don't have access to, or they would say they don't have access to. Just tell me how did you find out about HubSpot? Let's just start there. And what was your first encounter with this thing called HubSpot?
Yeah, so I guess for everyone to know just a little bit about my background, I own a physical therapy clinic. We're in downtown Boston, and I started that clinic during COVID. And we're cash, so we don't take insurance. So marketing is one of the things that we have to really rely on to get new patients in the door, because we're not just, taking scripts from the insurance company, from the hospitals, and we have to really niche our services out to people that are looking for a little bit more higher quality of care. So the way I found
Jeremy,
HubSpot.
may I stop you 1 second? I want to make sure we heard this. I started a physical therapy brick and mortar during COVID.
Exactly right. Yeah. So
what started that?
Right.
Yeah.
That's it's COVID was, I was very lucky during COVID, I guess I could say, which I think a lot of people obviously can't. So I got laid off of my normal. I was just a therapist at a traditional clinic in Boston. COVID happened, clinic shut down, and I got furloughed from the clinic from there. So I started, I just went self-employed basically, was seeing, patients on a one-on-one basis. I had a good community in Boston of people that I was seeing that wanted to continue to get care. So, I was treating people in the Boston Commons or outside in their front yard or in their alleyway, just kind of whatever I could do. So I was like, I don't have a job now, so I better figure this out. And, so I was self-employed basically throughout that summer. And then I opened a brick and mortar space up because it just took off for me, which was awesome. It was really cool. And during that time, that's kind of where I leaned into. It's like, hey, obviously we're not going to run this through insurance. You just got to pay me out of pocket for my services. It's going to be all one-on-one. It's going to be 60-minute sessions. And people loved that. It was just a higher, quality of care. And I was like, I think I have something here. This is awesome. So again, long story short, opened up a clinic in Boston, started hiring kind of right away because the demand was there. People wanted, even though we were in the middle of COVID, people wanted that one-on-one care. They didn't want to go to the hospital where there's hundreds of people there, and they wanted that very, private service. So I hired my first 2 employees pretty quickly, and that's where I think I was like, all right, I got to figure out how to get new patients in the door, and that's where I started leaning into. What do our back-end systems look like? I did a lot of email marketing. I really enjoy copy and creating marketing campaigns and doing all of that. So kind of naturally that led me to the HubSpot world and all of the training that they have on inbound marketing. I got obsessed with that. And, kind of classic. I started with the free version of HubSpot, milked all the services out from there. We went up to a starter level. It's like, all right, I still need more here. And, we're eventually, obviously functioning in a pro suite now, but that's kind of where I got my licks with HubSpot, was just learning from them on how to actually market, understanding man, this software is badass. I can do all of this stuff in here. I got really into Google ads and, just everything to do with lead generation. And HubSpot is obviously, I tried the Go High Levels and the the Keeps and all those other ones, and it just didn't really match up to what HubSpot was providing. So, and obviously I have a bunch of buddies because we're in Boston that work for HubSpot. They all talked it up, so I was like, all right, I'm sold, and kind of went all in on it. And um, yeah, that's kind of like my first taste with HubSpot was just from my own clinic.
That's so cool. This is my first taste of HubSpot is running my own business, and I had to survive on it. And you went through the full journey of the free starter pro. It sounds like you were self-educated in many ways from the HubSpot Academy and different communities, and you were self-educated into it. What changed? And I'm assuming your brick and mortar is doing somewhat successful. What was the change or the impetus to say, okay, I'm going to teach other PT shops and like how to do this, how to go to market?
Yeah, it was kind of cool. I was part of basically like a mastermind group in the physical therapy world. They're all cash-based clinics, kind of from all over the U.S. And I started my clinic. I was doing like 20K a month, and my clinic grew the fastest in the mastermind group out of everybody there, which was awesome. Was seeing a lot of success, and a lot of the other clinics were doing most of their marketing just like in local grassroots. So they were, setting up like workshops or, teaching certain like low back pain boot camps at gyms. And they were doing a lot of really good local stuff. Whereas I was growing exponentially through the digital side of things. So I had a couple buddies in the mastermind group, and we were kind of chatting, and I was like, well, what do your back end systems look like? Like, what does your nurturing system look like? How are you like getting these leads in the door? And they're like, it's just on a Google sheet. Like, we don't have anything like that. And I was like, let me just set this up for you. So they got HubSpot. They said I kind of just did it for them because again, they're just my buddies, and they continued to like crushing the local side plus layering in ads and all the CRM stuff, and their clinics exploded. So I did that a couple times, and more people started to find out about it in that group. And I was like, I think I got something here. Like this is, I love doing this. Like this, I would rather do this versus patient care. And it kind of just took off from there. So I started that in April of last year and was kind of doing it in magic time. And, here we are now. We're working with over 120 businesses, which is awesome.
And magic time for you is, I call it moonlighting. I mean, you had two jobs. You were running your brick and mortar, your CEO of the brick and mortar, and you are creating another business that now has 120 clients or at least 120 businesses.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. Yep. So
Wow. Okay. Received. What's crazy is, so take a side note, is I met Jeremy probably around June, July-ish when we were going through this. And I tried to find him and I'm like, you're a brick and mortar PT shop. Why are you talking to me? uh, uh, and I think it was in the middle of that transition. So it's like, it's cool to come back a year and hear it. So you're now here and, um, have you started to focus? When did you become a partner officially? And then are you now focused 100% on doing digital services for PT?
yeah. So kind of like when I started doing this, kind of just magic time HubSpot builds for other people. One of my really good friends, my best friend from back home, is in direct sales with HubSpot. I knew nothing about the partner program at the time. And I was kind of like, hey, I'm starting to do this on the side, just kind of picking his brain on how I should set it up because, at the time I was like, I don't know how the hell to run an agency. Like, what does that even look like? I have no idea what this looks like. And he told me all about the partner program. So I kind of signed up right off the bat there. And yeah, again, I was just kind of CEOing both companies. I was really lucky at my brick and mortar clinic. I had like a clinic director who handled all the day-to-day management of things, and I could just focus on bigger picture vision of the clinic and just doing the sales and marketing side of things. So that's how I was able to do both. And I've since sold my clinic and am full time in Patch now, which I'm super excited about because this is just what I love to do.
So the entire journey is about 4 years. COVID into starting one business, that business teaching you about another business, selling business number one, going full time in business number two, and now we're at business number two, which is your HubSpot partner, with already like coming with a large clientele, already platinum in the middle of that as a solutions partner. Where are you in terms of like how many employees do you have now? Is it full time? How are you? Is it contract? Just talk to me like your employee makeup, and then where are you trying to go now that you're full time? What are the goals is in 2024/2025?
Yeah, so we've got four full-time employees right now that are US based. We have some overseas contractors as well that have been awesome for us. We just hired our fifth full-time employee, and she's coming in at like a customer like success manager level too. So it's our first like big
Hmm.
time hire. So we've got a really solid team. My fiance is actually the COO of the company. She's coming over from management consultant. So, she kind of came in where I was like running around with my head cut off at all times and just saying like, we'll figure it out. Like, no worries. Like we're adding all this new stuff on and we're figuring out processes along the way. And so she's been a big help and big support coming in and just like systemizing everything and creating processes for the builds. And obviously, Super's been a huge part of that as well. And so that's kind of where we're at today. Like I said, we're working with 120 clinics right now. Our goal for the end of the year is to get to that 200 mark and kind of see what happens from there. Obviously, the big announcement, what really helps us is this HIPAA compliancy portion of HubSpot. We've been pretty like handcuffed in terms of, I guess we've been lucky in the sense of like a cash-based physical therapy clinic because they don't take insurance. They're technically a non-covered entity, so we kind of had a little bit of leeway there in terms of utilizing
Hmm.
HubSpot, and but now we can kind of open the floodgates up and we can go after a lot of these like what we call hybrid clinics that take insurance. They're trying to add a cash arm onto their business because insurance reimbursement is getting worse and worse and worse. So that's kind of our play now is to, we've got the cash niche really dialed in and kind of going after these PT clinics that take insurance and just need a like because most of these clinics are just so archaic in the way they market. They have no idea what they're doing. So if we can go in and add some systems for them, we think that this could be pretty big.
I agree. This is fun. I love often we have people come into this. They're talking about how they wish they would have niched earlier, which I don't think is going to be something you're saying because you just niched from the beginning, uh, which is incredible. One of my first built when I was doing RP was actually in a nursing home, and I remember saying this industry is ripe for digital transformation, and I'm sure PT like, and it wasn't even it was like the geriatric care, like foot care, and it was like some really small thing, and there were thousands of them. And I want people to like the ability to niche is so much larger than we think. Jeremy, just example, Jeremy. Okay, so you made this transition. What have been like challenges? There are three top things. If you had to go back, what are the three things that were you had to get over in order to start scaling to make these decisions? Um, and how did you get over them?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, like I said earlier, is I'm a physical therapist. I have no idea what an agency is or how to run an agency or what this even looks like. So that was square one for sure. And, I love learning and I'm obviously like, really into the tech world and all of those things. But, I basically what I did was I just hired other HubSpot agency owners to like, just like, can I just pick your brain for an hour? And like, I'll pay you whatever your rate
Mm.
is. So I really leveraged like the community here and just said like, talk to me about your process and what that looks like because A, I have no idea what I'm doing. And B, like I can take, your principles and how you guys are running these agencies. Maybe it's a B2B or, whatever it might be. And I'm just going to take the principles of how you guys do things and just like put it to my niche. That's basically how I taught myself HubSpot too, because there's no
Mm.
training for, how do you build a HubSpot platform for a PT clinic? Like there's nothing out there for that. So, I had to take these other thought processes and just distill it down for what we're doing. So I think that was the biggest one is just like, what the hell is an
Mm.
agency and how do I do this?
uh, That's a big challenge. You're like, I don't know how to do this. I love how you did it. It's very practical. I just went out and found people who are doing it and said, I'll pay you money if you give me an hour. I'll ask a bunch of questions. Um, Two, how did you like? Yeah, what are the other challenges? Expect now you're full time too, with fully dedicated. What are challenges faced to get you to where you are? Five employees, fully focused.
Yeah, I'm very much like a like I'm very much like on the side of like the visionary. Like I'm much less of an operational person, and let's SOP everything out that we're doing and build these systems. So I think for me, when we first started, it was me and actually the admin from my brick and mortar clinic. He was a massage therapist and an admin, and I was like, hey man, I'm starting this HubSpot agency. I want you to come on full time with me. And him and I ran that for a couple months, and we got pretty big. He probably was with me until we signed up our 50th client before Allie came on board. But I think just like operationalizing everything for us was super tricky, and there's just so much to do when you're building out a HubSpot account, obviously, and implementing these marketing systems and getting that all together. So organizing all of that stuff, we utilize Monday to like track all. So that's our project management tool, and Allie really came in and revamped all of that stuff. So I think that's probably like the third thing that I found challenging and learned throughout this whole process too is, you know, hire a little bit earlier or go seek out those people that can be game changers for your business. They're not going to come in the door and just walk in and say, "Hey, can I work for you?" You got to go out and like seek those people out. So, yeah, Ali coming in and revamping our operational system has been huge. And again, just like finding talent as well, like good talent. They already have jobs, so how do we go out, pitch them on what we're doing, and get them to kind of join the pirate ship that we're trying to build.
Yeah, it's hey, you are currently in a safe village and you have a rhythm of life. I want you to go and join a pirate ship, and you see like you got to make people say "arr," and it's how do you get people? And I think we underestimate, especially at the beginning, when you're a three, four, five person, is not only how important it is because they're one fifth, one fourth, one third of your culture, also how do you get people to take the risk, and you being the person that's selling them on that your life will be better if. So just a big. Okay, we talked a bit about it, and I already it's like here, which is what's your big next bet? And it sounds like I mean I'm going to recap what I heard, but it's now we have HIPAA compliance. We can now go into hybrid PT firms that are cash strapped and are getting paid less frequently from insurance. Now I can do a cash based business. I'm going to go in there. Um, is there anything else you're thinking about, like as the big bet that you're going to put all your eggs in? Because at this point, you really have to. You got to make one or two bets and just go all in. Is there anything else you're thinking about, or you want to further flesh that one out?
Yeah, I think like obviously the one big bet would be going after these insurance-based clinics. That's definitely just an untapped market. I know some of my colleagues and friends that work at some of these clinics, and even the bigger clinics that have 20, 30 locations. The way that they do marketing, it's just like I said, it's very archaic. It's very old school, and I think going in and like you said, digital transformation for these clinics is going to be massive. So I think
Mm,
that's going to open up. That's going to, we'll be able to go up market a little bit more. A lot of these cash clinics are kind of in this like 300,000 to $800,000, annual revenue range. So that kind of limits us in terms of like what we can do on the HubSpot side. Whereas these bigger clinics, they have much more wiggle room. We can do a lot more things for them with the HubSpot platform and what we can offer too. So, that's definitely my one big bet. I think like if this HIPAA compliancy thing didn't come down the pipeline, then we're just going to go all in on, these cash and like alternative service medical professional clinics are popping up all over the place. Like we work with some chiropractors, we work with some like boutique, like, fitness studios, some like medical doctors that are just doing things on the cash end. That would have been our play for sure. It's just like, how do we take our systems in the PT world and duplicate that for a chiro or, these other, naturopathic doctors or something like that. So I think that's still a huge area for sure. But if we want to stay super niche, we just attack the PT side and, figure out how do we do this for the hybrid clinics as well.
Yeah, the reality is, healthcare and HubSpot is a place where there are very few people playing because the reality is there's a great beyond that you're entering in. It's a great time. It's a great time to start. It's a great time to know the industry and be able to say words that you just used that I wouldn't be able to say in a sales call. So uh, Jeremy, what are, as we come to end, what is, and you started two businesses and sold one in this process. What is one thing you would never do again?
Yeah, I think, definitely on the patch side of things and the HubSpot side, when we first started this, like our main concern was the build and like getting marketing campaigns up and running for these people. We didn't care as much about like the adoption side of things. Like we wanted them to use HubSpot. We had some training videos for them, but we kind of put the onus on them of like, hey, go and figure this out. Here, we built it all for you. It's pretty easy to update a deals board. Just, do it in magic time. And we got no adoption at the beginning of it all. It was kind of a crapshoot. So now we've since, revamped all of this stuff, and we have a very in-depth onboarding process. We're hiring people just for that onboarding process. We're taking that much more seriously. And, we're getting people utilizing the HubSpot platform on their first week that they're starting with us, which is huge, down the road for them where, we have all of these, reporting and automations and all that stuff set up. And again, like we definitely missed that at the beginning of things, but now it's, it's one of our main priorities for sure. So I think if I could go back, that's what I'm changing for sure.
Near and dear to my heart, I may have thought, was like, I'm going to go make it easier to do it and create a whole piece of software for it. So, I got, yes. It's like, it's the thing I would have done earlier too. So, what I talked about, what do you wish you did, what you never do again? What do you wish you would do earlier? So what I heard you say, I'll never do again is skip adoption. What would I have done earlier?
Yeah, I mean that's something I would have done earlier for sure. I think again, just coming from the PT world to the tech world for lack of a better word, I realize how big LinkedIn is and like how that's like the social platform where people are hanging out and they're posting content, and that's where they're people are getting the word out there. I think like leveraging that platform is something that we've started to do. And again, we kind of talked about it on the hiring front as well of like, how do we find the people that we think would be a perfect fit for us? We just did this with our head of customer success. She works in the tech world. It's a PT tech side of things. But if I wouldn't have gone and, connected with her on LinkedIn, started messaging her, post her content on there, then we never would have ended up like being able to hire her as well. So leveraging that platform, I'm realizing it's massive, it's huge.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in adoption, big believer in LinkedIn, and you'll be surprised. It's not just business. It's the people that will work at your business that matter just as much. It often actually costs more money, if not right.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I appreciate your time. If people want to talk to you after today, and they want to talk to you and pay you your rate to talk about how to run an agency, how will people what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Yeah, LinkedIn. I'll obviously plug my LinkedIn, just Jeremy DuPont. You can go to our patch page as well. We're starting to post a bunch on there as well. That's the easiest place to find me for sure.
Jeremy, appreciate your time, man. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Stay awesome. Keep doing it big, everybody. Adios.